Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about the Curry Flow 10 Splash Party. So the Curry Flow 10 is not technically a new shoe anymore. I first came out in October last year with the Iron Sharpens Iron colorway, and the Splash Party colorway is a more recent release. It came out on March 14th. Along with it, there's also the retro of Curry 2 in the same colorway, because I believe that was the first shoe that the Curry line did, the birthday or splash party colorway. To me, this is one of the best Curry 10 colorways so far. I've always wanted to grab a pair of the Curry Flow 10, but none of the colorway really spoke to me until recently. They had the double bang and then the splash party, and it was a tough choice for me, but I still went with the splash party because I'm a sucker for white basketball shoes. I feel like since UA constantly using this white flow midsole outsole material, it just goes along with the white better rather than the double bang, which the upper is all yellow. Yeah, personally I'm a big fan of how this shoe looks. Just looks really clean, and finally decided to grab a pair. So here's my performance review for this shoe, coming really late. So the upper material of the shoe is called UA warp technology, and this is a technology that Under Armour uses a lot in their running shoes, and it's also been used in previous Curry shoe as well. It's basically a mixture of material all threaded together, right? There is TPU, there is mesh, and there is yarn in there as well. Although the material is quite soft, feel it by hand, it's not too plasticky, which is good. But at the same time, it's supposed to give you the great comfort and a really secure feeling of lockdown in the shoe. So one of the main features of UA Warp is that it reinforces certain areas of the shoe with higher density or higher abrasion kind of material. So as you can see on this shoe, it's highlighted in different colors. The green area and then the blue strands are the area that's being reinforced with a harder material, because these are the areas that you tend to rely on a lot when you play basketball. So just make sure that you're all contained. Another thing that you will notice about this shoe is this plastic heel clip that's located on the lateral side of this shoe. Unlike most basketball shoes that puts the heel counter in the back, it decides to put it over here. Although this shoe also has a heel counter in the back, if you feel it with hand, it's actually quite stiff as well. The flow also curves up a little bit, acting as part of that heel counter as well. So this is all part of the design to make sure that your heel is secure. The shoe is also a half booty construction, so the tongue is connected to inner booty of the shoe as well, and it just gives you a better one-to-one fit. So now we're gonna get into the performance aspects of this shoe. We're gonna start off with the fit and the lockdown. With this shoe, I went true to size. I usually wear a size 10 with all of my Nike basketball shoes. So I got the same size in these, and that's what I would recommend for you guys as well. Keep in mind that this shoe does have a pretty snug toe box area. So you can see the shape here. Front of the toe curves in a lot, and then with the UA warp technology, these two areas doesn't really stretch out that much. So even with breaking in, the shoe is not gonna expand a lot. So if you do have really wide feet, maybe go up half a size and you would be good to go. So the lockdown of this shoe is actually really great. Because of the half booty construction and how narrow the front of the shoe is, I had a good time playing in these. I have narrower feet, so I wasn't really bothered about how narrow the toe box is. Overall, the laces just gave me a really nice sensation of my foot being pressed down to the bed of the shoe, and then the shoe moving really well with my foot. There's only a little bit of concern with the heel area. I wouldn't say that the heel lockdown is not good, because I tried. Literally, I could not move my feet like up and down when I have my laces all tied up and stuff. I do find sometimes when I'm doing side steps or lateral movements, my heel in the shoe kind of moves laterally a little bit. So not up and down, but left and right a little bit. That is my only concern, and I really haven't heard anyone else having this problem. So I'm just gonna assume that it's a me thing. I think most of you guys will have a great time playing in these. Next up, we're gonna talk about the running capabilities of the shoe. The Curry Flow 10 to me is one of the best basketball shoes to run in. A lot of that has to do with the running shoe DNA that it has inherited from Under Armour. Both the warp technology of the upper and the flow midsole also. These are technologies that were first designed for running shoes and implemented in running shoe first. And because of how Curry plays, he runs a lot on the court, obviously, moving through screens, off-ball movement, all of that stuff. So this shoe has to be good for running, right? And when I first tried this shoe on in store, I told my friend immediately, this shoe just makes me want to move forward, because when you put them on, you literally feel like you're always on the tip of your feet. The reason why that it gave me this feeling, first of all, I think it has a lot to do with also curvature. If I put this shoe on a table flat, and then you'll be able to see how curved up the top of the shoe is, keeps you on the ball of your foot. It always makes you feel like you're gonna step out, and then it's really, really smooth that way. It also has a really nice heel to toe transition with the flow also. Flow material in the shoe feels super responsive, and it keeps you relatively low to the ground. It's not really on the level of a hardened shoe, but still really, really good core feel. So that makes you feel like no movement is wasted in your foot. One last thing to know about the running ability of the shoe is the shank plate. The shank plate is only exposed in this part in an X shape. The shank actually goes to about here to here. So it's a relatively long shank, and it does give you, again, that feeling of propelling forward, because once you put forces into it, it snaps right back. So that feels really nice. Overall, running ability in the shoe, one of the best, really no complaint. So next up, I'm gonna talk about the lateral movement in the shoe. Lateral wise, the most important thing, I guess, is traction. The flow, outsole or midsole have a lot of concerns in terms of traction. It performed really well on certain courts and not so well in other courts. I think it really depends on the condition of the court and also the wood material used in the court. And I haven't played with these outdoors, so I would have no idea. I also would not recommend anyone to try these outdoors because the durability of the flow outsole is terrible. So on a clean wooden court, I would say this shoe is great, right? It's GOAT tier traction. It has no lag in stopping. It just stops immediately on a dime. Historically, I had some issues with the Curry 8 and 9 because of how hard this flow material stops. My big toe always rubs against the material on the shoe too much, so that would cause me a lot of pain in my big toe area. That's not the case here with the Curry Flow 10, because I think they widen up the toe area a little bit, so there's a little bit more room there. This material does not stop as hard as the previous two versions, which to me is a plus, because my toes and my knees, it can't take sudden stops like that. But if you do play on a dusty court, which I've played on with this shoe, the traction is freaking horrible. It's so bad. I had to constantly wipe. A really, really hard wipe would last me about 2 or 3 plays before I start skating around again. So that is just not a great experience for me, and despite how great this shoe is, I can only take this shoe to certain courts and not others. Lateral security, I would say, is really, really good because of how this material protrudes out at the front of the shoe and how wide the base is. Also, because of how thin this flow material is at the forefoot, you really stay quite low to the ground, and you just feel pretty secure in this shoe. And that goes the same with torsional support. Like I mentioned, there's a relatively large shank plate in the midfoot, and it's extremely hard to bend this material. So you're gonna be good to your torsional support as well. Next up is the jumping capabilities of this shoe. With the Curry Flow 10, again, it features the flow technology that I've seen in the previous two versions of Curry's and all of the Flotros that are doing currently for the Curry line as well. I know people are saying they're very sick of this, they're tired of seeing flow with everything. However, the Curry Flow 10 to me is a refreshed flow feeling. I've had the Curry 8 and 9, and to me, flow in those two shoes feels really, really bland. To put it really straightforward, I really didn't feel it that much. In the Curry Flow 10, the heel has a quite substantial amount of bounce and responsiveness, right? Whenever you are jumping with your heel to grab a rebound or something, it actually feels quite soft, and then it bounces back really nicely. And with the forefoot, the material does get thinner, which helps you with stability when you're shooting. I could actually feel it as well this time. Feels soft, feels really, really nice, and feels bouncy in a way as well. So I would say in terms of jumping, this is the best flow implementation so far. That takes me to the conclusion of today's video. Would I recommend the Curry Flow 10 to you guys? I would say maybe some of you, and maybe some of you really wouldn't like this shoe. Just in terms of performance, all the other factors are amazing. I really enjoy the flow setup in this shoe. It feels really bouncy, really soft, really substantial on their feet, while giving you that really, really nice core feel and stability. However, it's just the traction, man. It makes it really tough. If you play on a dusty court, I would not recommend this shoe to you, because at times when I was playing on a dusty court, I feel like this shoe is unplayable just because I was sliding around like crazy, and it's just unsafe, right? Other than the traction, all the other aspects are amazing. That wraps it up for today's review of the Curry Flow 10. Let me know what you think of this Splash Party colorway and how the shoe performs in general if you have one. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.